Hi, it's Colleen Schmidt from Divination Counseling Service. Today I want to present the Mars Ingress. There's a lot going on with the planets, and there will be for some time. So I thought it'd be really interesting to kind of watch some of this stuff as it happens. I will continue working on my gambling stuff. I'm still doing my gambling project, believe it or not, but I probably won't be doing as many updates in the next couple of weeks. But I wanted to let everybody know I am continuing to work on that project. I'm also going to be looking ultimately at this particular full moon. I got to figure out when I can fit it in with the holidays and everything else going on. So with that said, I'm going to look at this Mars ingress. It occurs on, let's see, November 24th at 5:30 a.m. Okay, so when you are waking up on November 24th, which is actually a Friday after, oh, it's our Black Friday. Oh, isn't that interesting? I'm looking a lot at Mars right now for the simple reason, just like I said on the short, Mars is definitely an interesting planet right now. Not only is it conjuncting the sun, as I've spoke about in my short video, it is also going to be squaring almost immediately, because it's only a couple degrees of Pisces, Saturn, because Saturn has retrograde back, and just in time to greet that squaring moon. So that'll be interesting. So people aren't going to be able to do what they think they are, which is interesting because you do get more active when the sun is with Mars. Besides being impulsive and angry and all those things and frustrating, I really believe that we can also get a lot done. However, it's going to meet up against some, what I want to call, difficulties that's going to make us have to work harder as it does square Saturn. And then, right after that, it's going to oppose Admetus. And Admetus is like a singular thing. So if you were working on a single project that only had a single basic concept, that would be the best way to handle that energy. But there tends to be the idea with Mars Admetus that you're stuck, that you can't move past the obstacles. So with that said, you're not able to kind of move forward. You feel stuck. You have obstacles. You have issues that have to be worked out. That's very common. So I thought, geez, in light of the fact that the next several weeks are going to be a little tough because of Mars, I decided that maybe we should look at this ingress and see what else it can tell us about this Mars ingress into Sagittarius. So Sagittarius, as we know, is ruled by Jupiter, and we would think that, Mars in the sign of Sagittarius would be expansive and healing and all those things. And I'm not saying it's not. But what I am saying is you're going to have to work darn hard for it. So let's look at the chart. See what I'm talking about here. So here's the chart. Now I did do this for Washington, D.C., but I do want to point out, as I did in the short video, I don't care where you live. You're not escaping the Sun conjunct Mars. Nobody is. Now I'm looking at DC's chart, and I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on it, but there are some interesting things to look at with the angles if you happen to live in the United States. First of all, Poseidon, which is propaganda, not always truth, sometimes, a lot of times propaganda, is sitting right on the ascendant. And the Mars Sun is right in the first house. So how people are feeling, how they are expressing this on a daily basis is going to be obvious to us all. Mercury also in Sag is running in the second house. maybe we're going to hear news about money or our ethics or what we think is of value. Now, the thing that, I really drew my attention to here was this hubris, I'm sorry, Hygeia. Hygeia is running they're straddling it. They're straddling the IC. So we got a Hygeia on one side. We've got Eros on the other side. I'm concerned about heart health here, and I'm concerned about reproductive health here. And I know that in this country, the reproductive health concepts, and notice how ornamental is here, volcano, which is an asteroid that represents a lot of what Volcanus does. It's like it's inevitable. It might look ornamental to some people, especially people who aren't really looking at it. In other words, if you're a religious person who says, oh, that's it, they shouldn't be doing these reproductive concepts, women's health. What you don't understand is that by not doing abortions, they're also not fulfilling the end of women's health. So that was really interesting. And I thought, ooh, that is interesting. Why is that showing up on the IC for the Mars ingress? Just weird. So then I went on and I thought, well, you know what? Let's look at the rest of this chart. And here's something really interesting. And another straddling of the angle. So we had a 12 degrees Taurus here, but at 7 degrees, about 5 degrees prior, you have Jupiter, which means it's still an aspect to that. So there is, through work, through service, Jupiter, we are going to be able to heal, and we're going to be a benefit perhaps from some of or one of our partners. Uranus also talks about how this will be a surprise. This will be a huge surprise for us because it's Uranus. It will happen suddenly. It's like a sudden end to something. Well, I can think of a few things I'd like a sudden end to. But watch the politics on it. There was another place I would say watch the politics. I think that might have been when we get to the dial. Please watch the politics, people. And I say that because it's within the realm of politics that we get the most amount of disinformation. Okay? And that's really important to make note of. So please watch that. Okay? Some of the stuff will be startling in a good way. Some of it, a lot of it, I think will be good because of the Jupiter to the Uranus. But as I've learned in Uranian, it can also be the Jupiter Uranus could be like those that have overextended their fortune, so to speak. And that would be the case of like bank closures and things like that. Now, I'm not necessarily saying that's what it is. I'm just saying be careful, because when we're overly optimistic, we're also going to cause a problem. Now, up here, we have a 21 degree midheaven in Leo, so ruled by the sun, which is in the first house conjuncting Mars. Oh my goodness. But you got a few things here that are, I think, definitely worth looking at. Atlantis. Okay, so Atlantis is falling right, like it's the first planet, it's an asteroid, after the midheaven. And I gotta tell you, Diana's up there as well. That's that hunter-prey concept. But Atlantis is related to betrayals. It's related to privacy. And if there's a betrayal of privacy, that would be, whoa, fitting, okay? But when you think of Atlantis, I have a very strong Atlantis in my chart, and I deal in astrology and tarot cards, and I have readings with people, and those relationships are very important because they're private. And I'm highly ethical in my work, as some of my clients will tell you. But that's really interesting because it's falling at a really strange place in this chart. Privacy, the idea of betrayal. keeping things ethically private. So this is a really interesting concept here. Now, the other and the last thing I kind of want to look at here, though it kind of runs into something else then, is I do want to look at the 22 degrees north node as it is in a conjunction, because it's almost 23 degrees. So in Uranian, we go 2.5 degrees. And the moon, you could actually go a little further, but we don't have to because it's within that orb, that range. So we have, it's the connection of the female, but it's also connections of the people, because Mars represents the people. Okay, now at 21 degrees, a little bit away from the moon, depending on how you read, but we have panacea, which is problem solving. It's interesting. In the 6th house, the house of service. Of course, diet and health, but service. I think of service. So a lot of interesting things to contemplate, I think. Now, one more thing, I keep saying that. You know, when I read, and this is a Placidus house, Porphyry is another one that I use, but which is more of an equal house. This is what I like to use for this kind of work. And I also like to look at those planets, asteroids, trans-Neptunians that fall smack on these cusps, okay? Such as 15 degrees 44, and we got Kronos at 15 degrees 21. What's going on with our leaders? And what are we finding out about our leaders? Interesting, right? Well, I think it's more the former guy, because let's face it, they've been working for years to try to find something on the present guy, and they can't. Because I'm thinking after 47 years in politics, he doesn't have anything because he knows better. But anyway, that's just my assessment. So, you know, when you're starting to look at what falls right on these cusp points, look, we got another one down here. Okay, so we have, and I just saw it, here it is, 14 degrees. Icarus. Do you know that Icarus is exactly opposite Kronos? So the authorities are taking risks. And I'm thinking they're taking risks with money. And whether you're talking the former guy or the present guy. Now, the present guy is involved in a lot of world issues that require money. The former guy is in a lot of legal problems that are going to ultimately cost him a lot of money. Because if you can't gag him and you can't put him in jail, what do you have left? Oh, that's right, fining him. And they're going to go that route. So this is just a really general synopsis of some things that are going on in the present chart that might be of interest to anyone living in the United States. Now I'm going to go beyond the United States, and I'm going to talk, let's look at the Aries point first, see how this is going to affect the world. And what was interesting is I didn't see a whole lot. So other than that sun conjunction, which we have to watch out for, we do have things like we need to be fair. And I think that what the world is asking our world leaders to be is fair when you think of what's happening in Israel and Palestine. We've got to be fair. You know, throwing another group of people out of a country or literally trying to wipe them out. Isn't that what happened to the Jews, okay, several times? And we just have to be really careful that we don't repeat that, even if it's just another group of people. No, we don't want to repeat it at all. Not whether it be another group of people or not, okay? Remember that the Palestinians are also displaced people. So, and I think we know that. You know, it's interesting. There's an asteroid we call Brace, and I do use it, but it has a lot to do with fall. Like a fall. Brace yourself, you're gonna fall. Okay, well, Brace is right in the Aries point, and it's somewhere around that I'm going to say this. It straddles the Aries point with Poseidon. So it's right down here. And it makes me wonder if something isn't going to backfire. Then we move on to Apollonia, which is business, but it's the asteroid, not the trans-Neptune, and it is in retrograde. Now, there is a business of war, too, by the way. And here it is, Industria. So we've got Industria and we've got Apollonia in the Aries axis, and they're both retrograde, so they're not going to act normal, but they're still there. That makes me suspicious. Then it goes on, and we see actor. I'm sorry, I'm in the wrong axis. Sorry, Industria is in there. It's not the Aries point. See, I mark these things differently. That's actually in the Mars axis. So wipe that away from the Aries point, but know that it is what I think is interesting is that you got Apollonia in one axis and then you get Industria in the other. Whoa. Okay, which is also productivity. Another one for the Aries point is crying tears. There will be a lot of tears. There are a lot of tears. There are so many countries at war right now. And it also talks about the makeover that can happen through money. This is the Aries point. So no matter where you live in the world, the makeover is money. It's related to money. It also refers to how the South Node, so the nodes are in here, but the South Node is really around that Pollyanna ellipsis, which we talked about in my last asteroid video, which is a moderately too much Pollyanna. Okay, so we're being oppressed by our own Pollyanna attitude. Something to think about. We also have Ganymede in here, which is being of service, but also saying things that they think people want to hear. So Ganymede is an interesting, okay, and it is in the Aries point. Cassandra is in the Aries point, but just barely. That's advice. Are we going to listen? Or is it going to be a Cassandra story where somebody's predicting the future? By the way, Delphi shows up in the other axis. So then you have to ask yourself, okay, are we really listening to what's happening or are we not? That's Cassandra. And the final for the Aries point is, how about a bully who talks incessantly? Well, I can think of one right now. I think the former guy fits that. He's incessantly talking, Bolstrom. And he's a bully, Taureau. So we got a Bolstrom bully. We got a talkative bully. That we have. So that, but by the way, we have that in the United States. But interestingly enough, check it out, people in the rest of the world. We got some bullies for, out there that just don't shut up. So be careful of that. Now, the next axis I want to look at is, of course, the Mars axis. And I want to talk about the fact that Mars is running, here we go, with Sedna. And this is it's like you need to be around people who are softer in energy, kinder, compassionate. And this is important because it's running with Mars and it equals Icarus, which is risk-taking. Don't spend time with people who are bitter or who act like the perpetual victim. It is not good for anybody, and it is not good for your energy. Right off the top. Okay? So some other things that we want to look at. I went through a list of midpoints on this one because I thought it was pretty interesting. Like the Moon Cupido. I mean, it's people concerned about their families. Moon Vesta. People are concerned about their work, their goals, their abilities to kind of live. And how people feel stuck with the ascendants Adamitas. And feel so much pressure in feeling stuck with the ascendant Vulcanus. Zeus Cupido is also about angers within families or within organizations. It's also organizations that are explosive and, utilize weaponry. The moon Uranus tells us that there's going to be a lot of erratic emotions, okay, within these people. Uranus Zeus could be a surprise attack. That is falling in the midpoint. I just want to say that that could be a terrorist attack anywhere. So please be aware of that. I love that Kronos is running with Setna, especially here in the United States, because we can know who that is. That's the former guy. He is the perpetual bitter victim. Oh my gosh. He would just sit down and shut up. Hade's Sun is a lot about mistakes and things that are deteriorating, but it's also the need to be of service. We need to be of service here. Kronos Mars is executive actions. Midheaven Zeus is seeds we plant for the future. And hopefully not with guns. But the Pallas Ascendant really speaks to me because Pallas is also politics. And remember, I talked about politics previously. Now, I'm going to read off what's in. Now, this, ironically, this axis had more than even the Aries point. But remember, this is also going to affect you no matter where you live in the world. The truth that sets us free can only really be gotten by alternative actions and the ability to withdraw. And isn't it funny that one of the things that we're asking for is pauses in the fighting? Yeah. The truth will set us free when we withdraw and take alternative actions. People are excitable in general because of this Mars energy with Valentine. We can be productive, but we have to be careful. Here we go again. How productive can you be when this thing is going to come and hit Saturn? And then Admetus. And then it goes on, it talks about how one of the issues that we have that can be humiliated is actors. People who put blame on other things because they're acting out something of their own. And it can be humiliating. Artemis is a hunter-prey, just like we saw Diana in the United States chart. It's hunter-prey. We also have, this is interesting because I really feel that we can get some truth through our own intuition, but I have to tell you, Delphi also did show up in this set. There it is. And it means that, you can listen to psychics. They will calm you down and they will tell you, I think, not just what you want to hear, but things that you can say, you know what, I think they're right. And they can help you with your own and discovery of your own intuition. It also refers to chase. What are we chasing, people? What are we chasing? Hopefully peace. Delphi, as I said, is psychics. It's also that, wanting to know the future. Crone, Sirius, Mars. Wait a minute. No, not Crone. It's Crone's not far from Sirius, by the way. I just want to point that out. So authorities on cooking, right? Food authorities. Sirius is also that ability to take care of ourselves. So we have this take care of the parent-child issues are very much going to be a part of what's going on with this Mars. It's conjuncting it. So they're sitting with it. Also, something about the West shows up, and I'm not really quite sure what that means, but could there be more anger in the West for some reason? I don't know. Pythia and Nymphs, you think things are going to be okay, so you're going to be charming, and things are not going to work the way you think. So we're intuitive, we're really using our intuition, but it won't be, and it won't exactly go the way we thought. Tantalus is running with Icarus, Looney, Aurora, and Requiem. Wow. Wow, 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 wow. So we are tempted to take risks that we know are not good, that will cause more chaos. But we need to be at peace with what's going on. We need to find our peace. So we're tempted because we need to find peace. And lies, 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 lies. Why do lies show up in everything I do? So look out for lies, people. You're not getting all the facts. And Hypatia, which is a medical thing. So I don't think we're getting all the facts about the medical stuff. And that could be related to even the hospital issue and the Hamas issue. Not sure. You could look at it many ways. Sometimes I like to look at this stuff more personally, and I want you to also look at it from a personal perspective, not always from the world perspective, because we are a little microcosm of the bigger macrocosm. With that said, thank you for watching the video, and until we meet again, I wish you only happy readings, and please, people, take care with Mars conjuncting.